Thank you very much.
Yes. So here's the deal. You can have all those topics. You don't have to use any of them.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do, I want this to be the best training you've ever been to. And the best training you've ever been to, and Scott called on the phone last night and said, this is what we're doing. So by the way, this wasn't my idea. So he said, let's find out what they want to hear versus what. So we're not going to talk at you. We're going to talk to you, and we're going to solve your problems, and you're going to walk out of here ranking up. That's the key. But it all boils down to talk to more people. And I am actually going to pull a few of you out. And when he leaves, and he's leaving at noon, I'm going to really not. I never talk as much as I say I'm going to talk. I talk more. No, I'm going to bring some people out of the crowd. So some of you that are sitting there just eating bonbons know that I'm going to pull you up here with a microphone. So get ready for that too. So comb your hair and do all the jazz that you do, because we're going to have some fun today. Take it away.
That was a great introduction. Thanks, Tom. Yes. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Scott.
Where'd that book go? Here it is. So, was this your book, Amber? You want me to sign this for you? Okay. Would you do all of us a favor and come up here and read this page right here? So, what I'm doing here is I'm highlighting this book just for a second. So I personally believe this is one of the best books about network marketing that's out for you to read right now. So the first 2/3 of it are everything you can think about network marketing. Like, what would you want to know about it? It's in the book. And so then at the back, the last 2/3, there's 10 highlights in here of people in different companies, which I think is great because it shows you some diversity. But on page 108, here's our background in bio and network marketing. Do you mind if I have Amber read this 2 pages on this bio about us just so you can see what's in here?
That'd be great.
Is that okay with you?
Awesome.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm having Amber do this because she's a great reader and it's also her book. So there you go. Go ahead.
Scott and Juliet Fardulis.
You're going to have to read really loud though because I got to hear you on camera and all the way to the back.
Social skills are the magic sauce. In a little over 4 years, Scott and Juliet went from near bankruptcy and battling health challenges to skyrocketing their business with 200,000 members and 7-figure monthly sales in 17 countries. Scott and Juliet joined Longevity in 2011 after losing their car to repossession and their home to foreclosure, all while Scott's physical health was in a crisis. Their story began as college sweethearts who married after graduation, dreaming of a life where they could spend more time together than apart. Scott pursued a career in multi-entrepreneurial endeavors, and Juliet was a substitute teacher and freelance journalist, ultimately choosing to stay home with their 3 young children. All the stars seemed to be aligned until their financial world collapsed and Scott's health challenges began. At an all-time low, existing with unbearable pain, he resorted to prescription painkillers just to cope. The next step was a scheduled invasive surgery he did not want to undergo. Providentially, Scott was introduced to a man at a coffee shop who empathized, offering what money couldn't buy, help. Willing to do anything sensible, the couple faithfully took the natural products he recommended and were amazed when, after just a few weeks, Scott's pain vanished, never to return. Full of gratitude for having a renewed existence, free of pain, Scott and Juliet were convinced this company was also the answer to their financial woes. Wasting no time at all, they immediately dove headfirst into personal and professional development, leveraging and learning the law of attraction. Social skills are the magic sauce to attracting and influencing people, says Scott. It's also important to ask the right question and listen for an opportunity to serve them, adds Juliet. Together, they've discovered there's no shortage of individuals willing to explore possibilities that lead to a more purposeful life. Humility and vulnerability have gone a long way in developing their team chemistry and culture, stemming from over 300 personal enrollments in the first 4 years to 7-figure monthly sales with 200,000 members in 17 countries. Network marketing has provided Scott and Juliet the time, health, and resources to cherish every moment of marriage, parenthood, friendship, world travel, financial generosity, and land to build their dream home on a private lake with breathtaking views of the Rocky Mountains, located in a world-renowned Northern Colorado golf course community. Others first is how they live, and once you meet them, you'll always remember the way that they meet.
And so give it up for Tom, because it's his fault that we're even here, so we're so grateful. Amazing. Wasn't that cool?
Yes.
Did you like hearing that? It's fun because it just gives you hope, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. So now you know where we came from, that life hasn't always been easy. And sometimes we meet people now and they're like, oh, wow, you're so lucky, or it's just must be great to be you. Well, it's great to be you too. And you too can have results different than the ones you're experiencing now. But I want to ask you an honest question. So it means you have to be vulnerable and you have to be willing to respond. How many of you truly would like to have an extraordinary life made possible because of longevity? Like you really want to do something crazy, ridiculously cool, and just bust a move and be one of the next ambassadors in longevity. Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is it you? Okay. So I know not everyone raised your hand. Maybe that's not your objective. Maybe that's not your goal. Maybe that's not your dream. But I want you to know that there's a lot of places you can land between here and ambassador that'll change your world. So you don't need to be an ambassador. But what if you were an amazing 3-star? What if you were a rockin' 4-star? I mean, you just had it going on. Do you understand you'd have an extraordinary life in any of those positions? So that's what's great. It's not like all or nothing. And that just gives me a lot of hope. It's not all or nothing. I mean, there's a lot of somethings in between there that would be a game changer. Don't you think, Autumn? I mean, think about this, Casey. You just sat up here. You were on camera for the whole world to see. You're famous now. And your mom's famous too. And so think about the life that you have as a mom and a son by being in a world like this. It really makes a big difference. So there's a lot of things on the board that you all came up with today. And I like that list. I paid very, very close attention to it when all of these things were being written down. But I'm going to tell you something right now. If we were to go interview each of you and you couldn't collaborate or talk to each other, and we asked each of you, like, what do you think it would take to be successful? We get some pretty crazy answers. You'd be all over the board. We could play like dot to dot and it would be all over the place. And I learned a long time ago that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And so we want to get you from where you are to where you want to be as quickly as possible. But it means we can't be building the business like this. We have to get efficient at what it is we're doing and get from here to here as quickly as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So what's your name?
I'm Stanley.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I'm Scott. Chris, where are you guys from?
We grew up in Loveland, Colorado.
Loveland, Colorado?
Mhm.
Okay. So did you go to Loveland High or
Yeah, Loveland High.
what year did you graduate?
2013. I graduated 2014.
2013 and 2014. That's fantastic. Wow. So how'd you find out about longevity?
I was actually just walking by here about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I saw a sign for CBD oils. So I came to check it out. And then Tom and Marianne were here and I met them and got me involved.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's good.
Stanley just joined this morning, right? Yeah.
This morning? Fantastic. That's great news. So you're obviously the newest guys on the block here, so that's great. Well, I had to ask because I haven't seen you before, so welcome. Welcome to longevity. Okay. So there's 3 things. There's 3 stepping stones on your journey through longevity. First one is called the survey. Write this down if you're taking notes. It's called the survey. Okay? So you all know what a survey is. By the way, I get to practice these topics a lot because we have meetings with our team, and some of you are going to hear these topics again, and that's okay because repetition is the mother of all learning. And so the first topic is the survey. So the survey is important because you go nowhere until you take the survey. So let me tell you about the survey. If you can imagine, have you ever been called on the phone by a telemarketer before and they said, we know it's middle of dinner time right now, but if you could just answer a few questions for us, we'd be grateful. Or we're finding out, XYZ, and we'll give you XYZ if you answer our questions. You've been walking through a mall before and somebody's taking a survey. So with this survey, I want you to think about 4 particular questions that you're going to interview somebody around. Okay, so you can ask these questions of anybody that you know. You can ask these questions of anybody that's a stranger, and they work brilliantly. And the point of the survey is to find out who you should be spending your time with around longevity quickly, like instantaneously, because you don't want to waste time. if you could just ask somebody a simple yes or no question real quickly, you could find out whether you were wasting your time with somebody or not. So that's the point of this survey. So ultimately, don't you want to know if somebody would be interested in building a network marketing business? Wouldn't you like to know that? Wouldn't it be great just to cut to the chase and just find out, would you like to build a network marketing business? And that's kind of the point of the survey. So the first question that you ask somebody in the survey is, are you familiar with network marketing? Okay, so that's the first question. Are you familiar with network marketing? So if you're having a casual conversation with a friend, so it's not so cold, you could say, hey, Marinko, you're familiar with network marketing, right? And if he's not, he's gonna say, actually, I'm not. And that's a good thing to know. But if he is familiar with network marketing, he's going, yeah, I'm familiar with network marketing. So see how that's a yes or no question? You want quick answers. You want to move quickly through this process, and you don't want to get into storyboarding so something takes 30 minutes. So Marinko says, yeah, I'm familiar with network marketing. The second question that you're going to ask somebody is, hey, what's your attitude toward network marketing? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is I've got a great attitude about network marketing, and 1 is, it's not such a great topic for me. Ask where they're at on a scale of 1 to 10. So somebody says, hey, I'm about an 8. Great. And then the third question you're going to ask somebody is, which companies have you participated in network marketing? Think about how valuable that would be. What companies have you been a part of in network marketing? So now they go, well, I've been a part of this company, I've been a part of this company. Fantastic. And the fourth question that you're going to ask somebody is, if the right person on the right day were to have a conversation with you about network marketing, would you be inclined or not inclined to have that conversation? And if they say, no, I'm not interested in that, or I'm not inclined, then don't you think that'd be helpful? Wouldn't that be very helpful if they said, yes, I'd like to talk about it, or no, I wouldn't like to talk about it? Yeah. And see how there's no harm and there's no foul? What do you think about these questions, Tom?
Perfect.
You like them?
Beautiful.
Because you're an interviewer.
I'm an interviewer.
Yeah, and I like to vet people really quickly. I like to interview, and I like to get it done in about 60 seconds. I'm a very impatient person. I don't have high tolerance for people that don't know what they want out of life. So I help people quickly figure out what they want out of life. It saves me time because I'm not patient, and it saves them time as well. And it's good for both parties, yes.
Can you run back past that last question?
Yep.
If the right person came along?
Yeah, if the right person on the right day were to bring up the topic of network marketing to you, would you be okay with having a conversation with that person? See how that again is a yes or no question? So every question I asked is yes or no, except for 1. I said on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank yourself? So again, these are one-word answers. 8 is 1 word. 3 is 1 word. 9 is 1 word. 10 is 1 word. Yes or no? You're familiar with network marketing, right? Yes. Scale of 1 to 10, what's your attitude about it? 3. Have you participated in another company before? Yes. See how we move along really quickly?
Mm-hmm.
If the right person on the right day were to bring up network marketing to you, would you be okay with having a conversation about it? No. Great. See, ultimately, question number 4 is what matters. But you're leading people into the preparation of thinking about and giving you the appropriate answer in question number 4, which determines your list. Because now you have 2 lists. The ultimate list you have is these people are not interested in a conversation about network marketing, and these people are interested in a conversation about network marketing. So you've got 2 lists. Which list is more valuable?
Yes.
The yes list, right? These are all the people that you're going to follow up with and circle back with, and you're going to have a conversation with. Does this make sense? Okay, so what do we call that?
Survey.
The survey. Okay, so that's component number 1 is the survey. Now that you have your survey done, see, this is a great topic, because if you're a landscaper and you're looking for landscaping clients, the same thing exists. So you could start off, let's just fill in the blanks with that. How is that a perfect parallel? You're familiar with landscaping services, right? Yes. Hey, if you think about landscaping on a scale of 1 to 10, do you think it's a great idea to have landscapers or not a great idea to have landscapers? Where do you fall on that scale? I'd be about a 9 for having a landscaper. Great. You ever used one before? Yes. So if somebody were to talk to you about landscaping your yard so you didn't have to do it anymore, would you be okay if somebody contacted you about that? Yes. Great. So why does this survey matter? Well, if you're a landscaping company and you're looking for clients, this is a perfect survey. That's why it matters. If you're a baker, you're familiar with pies, right? Yeah. What's your attitude toward pies? Right. Means you don't like pies, right? So have you ever had a pie before? Yes. So if somebody were to have a call with you and talk to you about the pie services that we have down the street, would you be okay with receiving a phone call to talk about pies? Yeah, I love pies. So see how that works? So then if you own a pie company, that's a great survey. See, I learned about this survey because years ago, somebody came to our doorbell and rang it, and I was caught, this is a true story, I was caught in my office in my underwear. Okay, so I woke up early in the morning thinking, oh, the sun's not up, nobody's around, doesn't matter. I went into the home office and I started working in my underwear. And so there I was, but the problem is that as the sun came up and the day started turning, I forgot I was in my underwear. And so I'm still doing my things in the home office, and now it's business hours and people were soliciting through the neighborhood. Ring my doorbell, I'm stuck in my office, I can see them through the door, they can see me through the window, and so I thought, oh, what the heck, it's a guy in a suit. So I thought, he probably grew up in a dormitory at some point. I grew up in a dormitory at some point. We've all seen each other in our underwear. So I thought I could ignore the guy in the suit and hide behind my desk and pretend like I'm not home, or who knows, maybe this could turn into something. So it's like a story someday. I got up, I walked over to the door, and I opened it, and he goes, oh, wow. He goes, maybe I should come back another time. I go, no, now's a really good time, actually. And he goes, okay, well then this is highly distracting. And I said, it's okay, we're cool. I said, what can I do for you? And he goes, well, the first question I have is, what do you do that you can stay home on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. and still be in your underwear? And I said, well, that's a great question. So this really did happen. And so then he says, well, actually what I'm doing here is I work with Edward Jones, and he said, we're thinking about opening up an Edward Jones office down the street. And so I'd like to ask you some questions that will help us determine if that would be a good idea or not. And he goes, you're familiar with financial services, aren't you? And I said, I am. And he goes, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what would be your attitude toward having financial services for yourself? And I said, 9. He goes, great. See where this is going?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the same survey. And I thought to myself, I'm so glad on a Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. I got stuck in my underwear so that we could have that conversation, because that conversation in my underwear turned into us being millionaires.
Wow.
Now, is that a valuable survey or not?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? So I'm sharing with you something that is extremely valuable to us. And if you will apply this, you will move very, very quickly through building your business and not waste time, and you'll be very effective and efficient at doing it. How many of you like the survey?
Yes.
How many of you like the story better?
Story was good.
Story was good. Okay, good. All right. Is everybody able to hear me okay online?
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, everybody online, thank you so much for tuning in today, because I know what it's like to tune in online. There's this thing like, well, you know, I'm not really connected to the group, but you're really connected to this group because you're here. We know you're here, and I want you to feel like you're part of this group. So we got people monitoring computers right now. So if you've got a question, please type in the question. We want to answer it for you. We want you to feel just as much a part of being here as all of these people. And we got a packed house today. Feel for being live. We know you're not around the corner or an hour's drive from here. Probably you're across the country. Don't admit it if you're 5 minutes from this office, though. Don't tell us that, because we're going to come hunt you down and we're going to drag you over here in your underwear and put you in the front row. So that will be a consequence for being lazy today. But thanks for tuning in, everybody that is online today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I think you're going to learn a lot, but this is interactive, so don't hesitate to type in questions while we go along. So that's step number 1. The whole point of the survey is to get to step number 2. You know what step number 2 is? Step number 2 is what we call the plan. Okay, so the plan is a really powerful component of the process of leading somebody into longevity. So what you all should know is that the ambassadors of longevity have collaborated together, and we've created what we call the plan. This is our storyboard. And you all know that stories are what sell everything. So stories are powerful. That's why I just told you a story like I did, because you're never going to forget that story, and it made a lot of sense to you. So with the plan, it's the same way. The plan explains who are we? What do we do? How do we do it? What's in it for you? And how does this solve your problems and challenges? Who are we? What do we do? How do we do it? What's in it for you? And how does it solve your problems and challenges? Isn't that a good way to lay out a good story? Because you have a dream, you have goals, you have challenges in your life, you want to overcome those, and you want to live the dream. In order to do that, you need to know how to tell the story. So the plan effectively does that. That's what the purpose of the plan is. The plan takes about 45 minutes. And if you've heard us show this plan before, we do it online. Where do you find it online? You go to Facebook and you type into the search bar, Longevity Ambassador Facebook presentation. Longevity Ambassador, presentation. Longevity Ambassador presentation, no Facebook. So you go to Facebook. So you got that? Go type that in, and then you're going to come up to this Facebook page, and it's put together by the ambassadors. And really, the point there is to record and to post all the plans that we've shown. So when we show the plan, you can promote all the people that you did the survey with, and you can get them into watching the plan, and then we do the work for you. So if someone's going to show the plan, don't you think it makes a lot more sense to have a documented, successful person showing that plan, so you can edify those people and say, look at the people that we get to work with. Look at the people that we get to learn from. And when you edify those people, they're excited to learn about the company, more so than they will be excited to learn about the company from you. What's the difference? You're not documented yet. You don't have the results that they're looking for yet. You're not living that dream that they are picturing in their head. They want to talk to somebody and hear from somebody who has done it. It's the same thing if you're lost in the woods. If you want to get out of being lost in the woods, you need to talk to somebody who has figured out how to become lost. And they know the way. They know if you go left, they know if you go straight, if you go right, if you go backwards, they can tell you where all these paths lead to. But a person that's the first time on the trail, they don't know. They're winging it. They're figuring it out as they go along. So you need to admit to your person, I'm figuring this out just like you are. But I can tell you who you need to learn from. And that's what's called edification. You take the attention away from yourself, you put it on somebody else that has that documentation, and you make them the focal point so that your prospects cannot pick on you. They cannot come up with objections around you. You're not the issue, you're just the messenger. And so the moral of that story is, don't let people confuse you with the message and the messenger. You're just the messenger, you're not the message. That's what the plan does. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so this third component is what we call the 72-hour game plan. So let me tell you about the 72-hour game plan. This is a huge piece of your success. I mean, this is monstrous. This is magnanimous. And the 72-hour game plan is like this. How many of you can tell me what the definition of a fantasy is? What's a fantasy? You can answer online as well. You can type it in if you want to. What is a fantasy?
An idea grounded in very little reality.
Okay, there you go. An idea grounded in very little reality. You hear that? How many? That's right. I think that's so good, we don't even need to ask what the rest of you think. An idea founded in very little reality. Okay, who can give me an example of a fantasy?
Fantasy football.
Fantasy football? Okay, that's good. An idea grounded in very little reality. Stick it to that. That applies. What else is a fantasy?
Love could be a fantasy.
Love can be a fantasy, okay? So you're thinking about a relationship that you'd like to see with someone. However, it's maybe not very likely. It's grounded on very little reality. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yep, you'd like it to be better than it's possible to be.
Yeah.
So you see what you want to see.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Okay. I like it. Y'all agree that's a good example?
Yep.
Okay. How about this fantasy? How about you come in here and you think that this is some get-rich-quick scheme? Is that possible? Does that happen inside of network marketing? Does it happen inside of anything business related, not just network marketing? But people see what they want to see, right? Yeah. If you're in pain and you're in hurt, all of a sudden images flash in your head and you're thinking, man, I'm going to get rich quick. This is going to be amazing. My world is going to change overnight. I don't have to do anything and everything's going to come into fruition. Poof, magic wand, magic bullet, whatever you want to call it. People do that, and they even talk like that. They even say to people, oh my goodness, you don't have to do nothing. This is going to be easy. You get to come in here, and this is going to happen, and suddenly dollar signs start rolling for people. I'd say that's a fantasy. Would you agree? Yeah, and doesn't that fantasy happen a lot inside of network marketing? Yep, people flash checks. People show pictures of their stuff, and you're like, wow, we're going to be so rich. It's going to be amazing. And now, albeit, that does happen. People do get wealthy inside of network marketing. People do have stuff because of network marketing. People do own their time because of network marketing. But here's the fantasy. The fantasy is that when you remove the word work out of the net. So if you take work out of the net, now you have net marketing instead of network marketing. And so there's a lot of work to be done. So you're going to have to bust your backside. You're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable. You're going to have to go outside the box. You're going to have to get real with yourself. You're going to have to stare at yourself in the mirror. You're going to have to hold yourself accountable. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have to roll up your sleeves. You're going to have to get sweaty under your armpits. You're going to get soiled under your fingernails because you're going to be working in the dirt. That's what's going to happen when you come in here. Are we clear about that? Yes. So there is no fantasy that I want you to have about this. The only thing I want you to see is that everybody has the ability to dream, and your propensity to live out the dream is a lot more likely because of being in a good network marketing company with good systems and good mentors and good teachers and good accountability partners than a lot of other things that are out there. That's also very real. Does this make sense? Okay, so on that note, this is why we created what's called the 72-hour game plan. So write this down. The 72-hour game plan, first of all, think about it. How many hours is it?
72.
So there's stuff to be done inside of how long?
72 hours.
Which means you need to get started when? Right about now. So in the next 3 days, there's a lot to do, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so how long do you have to get these things done?
3 days.
You have 3 days or 72 hours, don't you? Tricky questions. I'm just asking you to say anything over because I want you to see that there's a timeline. See, 3 weeks is not 72 hours. 6 months is not 72 hours. Never is not 72 hours. So for some reason, this is where the breakdown starts to occur. For some reason, we walk in here and thinking, wow, I don't have to have a boss. I don't have to get up at 6:30 in the morning anymore. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And you start building this sanctuary around yourself where you think you're absolutely protected and that you're not accountable to anybody or anything. You're your own rule maker now. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to be successful in network marketing in here, you're going to have to act as if. ... Let's start filling in the blanks. You have to act as if what?
You are the boss.
You are the boss. You have to act as if what else?
CEO.
You're the CEO. Think about the life of a CEO for a second. Does he or she have easy street as a CEO? Let me tell you something about a CEO. They work harder than every single other person because in the beginning, that CEO has no employees. In the beginning, that CEO has no popularity. They have no marketing campaigns. They have no capital. They have nothing but an idea in their head and they're bootstrapped. That's typically what a CEO has to do. Does that sound familiar to being here at Longevity?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. And CEOs are oftentimes the first people there and the last people to leave. And we look at CEOs and go, oh, wow, they're so lucky. Look how much money they make. Look at the houses they live in. Look at the cars they drive. Yeah, they probably lived in circumstances that you wouldn't like to think about before they had all that stuff. They paid a price to get to where they are. Do you agree with me? And if you want to live a life like Tom Chenault, if you want all those plaques like you see over there with his name on the wall and all those magazine articles, you're going to have to pay a price. So now you have to ask yourself, how badly do you really want to live that life? And I'm telling you, it's worth it, but you're going to have to pay a price. Is it so much to ask that you have to wake up in the morning and you have to have some conversations with people and you have to have a work ethic and you have to have a method to your madness going through the day? Is it too much to ask that you'd have to have some responsibility and accountability going through your day? I hope it's not too much to ask, is it? Is it too much to ask that you're going to have some failures and you're going to have some conversations that don't go so well and you're going to have some people beat you up and come up with some objections that you're not prepared to answer and you're going to get frustrated? Is it too much to ask that you're going to go through the emotions and the feelings that you might want to quit before you decide that would be a bad idea? Is it so much to ask that you have to go through those things in order to experience success? Because if you don't go through all those things, then it would feel easy. And if it felt easy, then that means that everybody would be doing it. The reason why the statistics are true, that only 1% of all the people in this country have some level of success, is because there's a price to pay. And it's not easy. It's hard. And water travels the least path of resistance, and so do human emotions.
True.
You've seen a stream before. Remember when the whole thing happened up here in Rocky Mountain National Park in 2013, and the dam broke, and just a flood of water came rushing down the Big Thompson Canyon, and it wiped out people and cars. I mean, if you lived through that time period, I remember going and standing up on the high points. We saw like mobile homes floating down the river. We saw houses floating down the river. We saw horses floating down the river. We saw people floating down the river. We saw cars floating down the river, buses floating down the river. It was weird. But you know what happened? Is somewhere in that whole mess, the water that used to be the river, it changed its course. And it made a new path. It forged a new path coming down that canyon. And so why'd that happen? Water travels the least path of resistance. And you're going to travel the least path of resistance too. I'm telling you right now, you've got to get prepared, because you're going to come up against obstacles and you're going to have to decide, am I going to go left or am I going to go right based on that obstacle, or is it going to stop me in my tracks? And if you're not prepared, it'll stop you in your tracks, because we don't like resistance. We come up against it. Ask any club gymnasium owner. They get all these people that come flocking in the last month of the year, most recently 2018. And the books go through the roof. Why? Because people are planning on New Year's resolutions. And they're going, this year in 2019, I'm going to get my act together. And I'm going to start doing sit-ups and push-ups. And I'm going to get some weights going on. And I'm going to do some aerobics. And I'm going to get on that spinning bike. I'm going to have a tight butt, great thighs. I'm going to get some biceps and put some shoulders on. And that's what people do. And they're looking at magazines going, yeah, that's me right there. But then you realize you got to wake up an hour earlier in the morning. You've got to, if you really want to get serious, you have to get a personal trainer. Why do you need a personal trainer? Because they're going to scream at you and tell you you need to show up and stop being late and stop being ridiculous and lying to yourself and telling yourself you're going to be in shape and feel better by osmosis. You got to get in there. And once you get in there, it's not just lifting weights and running on a treadmill. It's like having a strategy and eating right. You got to stop putting junk in your body so you can get better output. Your muscles don't respond to sugar and carbs and a whole bunch of crud. Does that make sense? Yeah, your brain doesn't like it, your muscles don't like it, your body doesn't like it. But if you don't have an accountability partner to tell you all that stuff, you're going to go, oh, it's really hard waking up in the morning. It's raining outside today. I don't feel like showing up today. It's too cold. It snowed an inch last night. It might be slick outside. And so you start telling yourself stories to fit where you're at emotionally. And that's going to happen to you inside your longevity business as well. You're going to have a conversation with somebody that's going to make you reevaluate everything you stand for. And they're going to ask you just the right questions that are going to make you feel silly, that might make you feel stupid, that might make you feel inadequate, that might make you feel lesser than. And if you don't have the confidence and the belief and the conviction to stand up for what you know to be true and what to be right, then you'll fall for that person's opinions. And all you need to do is think every day, why am I listening to that person? Are they going to pay my bills? No, they're not going to pay my bills. Are they going to bail me out when times get tough? No, they're just going to keep giving me their lazy opinions. They want to sound smart. They want to sound so smart. don't fall for those traps. You have to hang out in this group so you know you are smart, so that when you deal with people that think they're smart, you're going to know the difference between being smart and someone thinking they're smart. Does this make sense? Yeah, that's why you have to stay engaged, and that's the second piece. So we talked about fantasy. The difference between fantasy and engagement is a big deal. What do you do before you get married?
Engaged.
You get engaged. Now define for me engagement. What does engagement mean?
A commitment to a future success.
Commitment to a future success. Love it. Anybody else?
Never been more in love.
Never been more in love. Like it. That's good. Never been more in love. Commitment to a future success.
Commitment together from online.
Commitment together online. Like it.
Actively participating.
Actively participating.
Plans.
Plans.
Engaging with your profession and longevity.
Engaging with your profession and longevity.
Taking action.
Connected and flowing.
Taking action, connected and flowing. Okay, so I like the image of, people are going to get married. And when you're going to, what's that?
Bonded.
Bonded, good. So now you're going to make a commitment to marriage. They call this engagement. You know what the purpose of engagement is? Engagement is like putting each other on notice. Hey, we're on notice. We're going to get married. And so we're going to create this time period, this window where we're going to play like we're married before we get married so we can spend enough time together and find out if we're really adequately a fit. Does this make sense?
Learning and growing together.
Learning and growing together. Yeah. So you're going to spend an extraordinary amount of time together. You date, you go out to eat, you go do activities, you spend social time together, you talk together a lot, you discuss everything there is to discuss, and that's what happens. Now, when you're engaged like that and you spend that much time with another human being, you're not looking around in that time period at other pretty girls and guys. Does this make sense? Yeah. You're taken, you're busy, you're involved, you're engaged. The difference between that and a fantasy is you're not engaged in a fantasy. You're not engaged in a fantasy, which means you can become quickly distracted by other things. So if you bring somebody in a fantasy into longevity without engaging them into longevity, which is putting them on notice, hey, we're busy, we're connected, we're so doing things together right now that you don't have time to look at Amway, Mary Kay, Arbonne, Herbalife, Melaleuca, Manatech, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does this make sense? When you're engaged, you don't have time to be thinking about that stuff. But if you bring somebody here in a fantasy and you don't engage them, then guess what they're going to do? They're going to be open to all these other things going on because you're not connected. Does this make sense? Okay, so that brings us to the 72-hour game plan. And so that's why I set this up the way I did, because I want you to see that the 72-hour game plan is engagement. It's engagement. If you don't have the 72-hour game plan, then you bringing a prospect or a new person into longevity, it's strictly a fantasy. They are going nowhere with you. They're going someplace, but not with you. That's the fantasy. So on a 72-hour game plan, is Josh, right? All right. So Josh, on a 72-hour game plan, you see the plan. That was component number 2. You say, this is great. I want to be a part of this. It feels right to me. I like what I saw. It felt right what I heard. I'm on board. Let's do this. When they say, let's do this, what does that mean to you? Let's do this. Before we get into anything, what does that mean, do you think, to most people? Let's do this. What does that mean to most people? You got a prospect sitting next to you. You're in the front row. The plan just happened. They say, let's do this.
Let's get busy. What's the next step?
What now?
Make money.
Get them plugged in.
They're committed.
And that means a lot of things to a lot of people, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have a strategy. See, everything needs to be a strategy, an exact systematic formula that works every single time for every single person, no matter what. But if you don't have the 72-hour game plan under your belt, you're in trouble. you're winging it. This is when your journey starts looking like this, because you don't know. You don't have a system. You're not teaching it from one person to the next. So when somebody says, I'm excited about this, let's do this, it's 72-hour game plan. So there's a bunch of stuff that needs to happen in the next how long? From when?
No.
Right now. Not starting next week. Here's what happens most of the time. They go, oh, that's great. And anything happens. Like sometimes you re-show the plan all over again. Sometimes you start asking them questions and they start asking you questions, and pretty soon you're all over the place on rabbit trails and you're not just getting to the point. So point number one in the 72-hour game plan is get them registered with a CEO pack. That's in the plan, by the way, so there's no surprises here. None whatsoever. There is no surprise. It's expected. It's in the plan. So when somebody sees the plan, they say, let's get rolling. They know they need a CEO pack. So you say, great, let's get you registered into the company. Let's get your CEO pack ordered. And here's what I like to do. What I'm going to do now, can I see your book right there? Is I'm going to say, Josh, I'm going to give you a gift. Now, I give you this gift as a token of coming on board and partnering with me and for getting that CEO pack. So you get a CEO pack, I'm now giving you a copy of this book. That's what I'm doing. Why? Because there's 100 pages in here of information that I don't want to take the time to talk to you about. It's not working. Yes?
Can you tell them where to get the book again, where to watch the videos on the 72-hour game plan?
Yes. Okay, so the 72-hour game plan, you can go, I had my eyes open so long without blinking, they're watering. So you can find the 72-hour game plan on ygleadershipmastery.com. ygleadershipmastery.com. If you go there, you're going to see a lot of amazing things, including speakers and audios and videos and training on a lot of different topics from a lot of experts inside of longevity. We archive and house those there. So you get a lot of training there. But what you want to do for this particular topic is go to the resources tab. So click resources, and then you're going to see resources, and you'll see the plan. You can go access the plan right there. You can also access the 72-hour game plan, and it's all recorded in video. So you can access the video. You don't need to teach this personally. There's 4 videos because there's 4 components to the 72-hour game plan. You can give them the videos or give them one link at a time, whatever you want to do, but that's where you go find that. And you'll also, it's not there yet, you'll find a link to get this book off of ygleadershipmastery.com. And in the meantime,
I think it's on the back. It's just Richard Brooke.
Yep, you can go to Richard Brooke, BROOKE.com. And if you go there, you'll find this book. You'll find this book listed there, and you can order it. Make sure, because there's multiple volumes, this is the 11th annual edition. So let me hold this up close. It'll say totally new right here at the top. So this is an indicator. Make sure you find the version totally new, and it's the 11th anniversary edition of the 4-year career, and you'll see our names printed right there. That's another giveaway that this is the right volume. So again, the power of personal development. Look at that chapter right there. Isn't that cool? The power of personal development. So now, I mean, your new person is reading all these super important topics and components to being a successful professional network marketer. And so I'd say, hey, Josh, what I want you to do is take this book. It's a gift from me to you, and I want you to read this. How long do you think I'm giving him to read the book?
72 hours.
72 hours. That's right. So now, do we or do we not have an accountability measure of expectation for completion of everything we're talking about? We do, don't we? Yep. So I want you to read this book in the next 72 hours. And so we now have you registered, Josh. We have your products on the way. When I have a prospect, Juliet and I do this every single time. We take samples with us. It could be anything. It doesn't need to be the thing that's in their CEO pack, although it could be. Take them something that gets them busy using the products over the next how long?
72 hours.
Because about how long does it take to get your CEO pack?
72 hours.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 days on the outset, but that gets you busy for the first few days. And once you start taking those products, maybe I give them some coffee. Maybe I give them some Soothe, CBD cream, the Hemp FX line. Maybe I give them one of those or a few of those little sample packs. Maybe I give them some BTT packets as well, Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So think about creative things you can put in their hand while they're waiting for their CEO pack to come, because I'm going to say for the next 72 hours, I want you taking these products. And what I want you to do, Josh, in the next 72 hours is come back and give me an idea of what you like most about the products. So now they're thinking, they're going, I'm being held accountable. I need to take these products, and I wonder if I'm going to notice anything. So maybe they notice something from the Hemp FX CBD cream. Maybe they noticed something by their energy level because of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine they were taking. Maybe they love the flavor of something. Maybe they had more energy during the day. Doesn't matter. I don't care what their testimony is. I just want them using the products over that next 72 hours. So now they've got a story. Okay, so at the end of the 72 hours, they got a story. And it doesn't need to be a miracle story. It needs to be an anything story. I feel great. I have more energy. I have bigger spring in my step. I wake up out of bed quicker. I go to bed easier. My mind shuts down faster. The pain and swelling and inflammation went away. I don't care what it is. I just want them to talk about the products. So that's step number 1. Got it? Step number 2 in the 72-hour game plan is them making a list. What did we start out this conversation talking about? What was component number 1? What was it called?
Surveys.
The survey. You got the survey. So you've got this method of having a list, building a list, creating a list, maintaining a list, and never running out of a list because of that survey. Did you like the survey?
Yes.
Yeah. See how quickly you can have a conversation with somebody, whether it's a friendly person or it's somebody that you don't even know at all. The person that you don't know at all, you can treat it more like a formal survey. The person that you have a great relationship with, they don't know it's a survey. You're not calling it a survey. That's just what we call it internally. So now you've got this method for building a list. The people that are the yeses out of that survey, you've got people to talk to immediately. So now you talk to these people about how to convert the survey into an appointment to see the plan. Okay, so it's an invitation to see the plan. And with this step number 2, you want them to build a substantial list. They need to build a substantial list. There's a lot of list makers. Do whatever list making method that you like to do. Some of you like to, dictate names into a phone. Some people like to grab a piece of paper and write down all of your lists and keep an Excel spreadsheet. Some of you like to go to the Longevity Go-To app. Some of you like to go to contact mapping. Whatever works for you, I don't really care. Just build a list, okay? There's a lot of ways to build a list. It doesn't matter how you build a list. Whichever one speaks to your brain and works for your personality, build your list. But get that list done. So how long do you give your new person to build their list? 72 hours. So in the next 3 days, we are going to have a conversation. We're going to review your list. I want to see that list, and I want you to put as many names as possible onto that list. As many names as possible. So there's no magic number. The magic number isn't 20. It's not 5,000. It's just as many as you possibly can over the next few days. Who should I put on the list? Everybody. If you know them and you want to see their life be living heaven, then put their name on the list. Okay? So now you got that list, and you're going to teach them how to talk to that list. And so there's 3 different layers of people. There's people up here that you look up to, there's your equals, and there's people that look up to you. Got it? Okay? So these people up here, I think that survey works really well with those people. So say you're talking to somebody that you look up to that is in a different league than you. They make more money than you. They have more vacations than you. They seem to have a more responsibility than you. Busy people are the best people to put on your list. So
Why don't we have them survey each other right now?
you want to survey each other right now? You want to practice this? You should.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody needs to have a partner. Grab a partner.
Somebody you don't know. So not cheese. Oh God, people sitting on the floor in the back. What's happening? Let's talk about some people on here. This is everybody on the screen, on the Zoom. Karen Hammond wins. Karen Hammond, it's 1 o'clock in the morning at first. Her house burns down. And as a result of that, the house burns down. She's living someplace where it isn't her home. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and she's watching this Zoom.
Karen Hammond, we are so proud of you. You are amazing. We know that you've had challenges with your house. We know that it's not been easy for you lately, but you know what I see that you're doing every single day of your life right now? You're making no excuses, number one. And number two, you're making concessions about building your business. Here it is, 1 o'clock in the morning, your time, as Tom and I are talking about, and you're on this Zoom. I love that about you, Karen. If I was a betting man, I'd put everything I have on you and said you're going to be one of the next success stories inside this company. That's what successful people do. So thank you for that. And if you all will hold on for just a few minutes here, we just have people practicing this survey with people right now. And so just give them a chance to go through this. And I encourage you at home right now, be thinking about this survey, practice it. If you don't have a partner sitting across from you right now, just talk to yourself out loud and role play this. So
Read the list.
yeah. Okay, so here's what we have online. We have Denise and Douglas and Caroline and Sharon and Trish and Sally and Michelle and Linda and John and Jen and Macro. No, it's Maceo. It's Maceo. So Maceo, I just told Marianne to make the list with James. He writes one. And we got Allie and Melissa and Imogene and Glenda and Lainey. Hello, Lainey. We have Bill and Roger and Steven. We have Kathy and Tim. We've got Lorenzo. We've got Joan. We've got Tim. We've got Pamela. Hey, Pamela. We've got Karen, Nancy, Vincent, Arlene, Emiola, and Lisa. Hello, Lisa. We got Noah on here.
You know, you guys rank it
Quite a list of attenders.
That's what we're committed to. Is every one of you, I don't know what rank you are, but our commitment is that you rank up. The only way we're going to do that is know you're serious about it. Send us a text. I'll contact you. I'll send over the information to Scott so he knows if you're in his organization. We're here to help you with everything we got to get to where you want to go. But if you don't know where you want to go, there's no way we can get you there from here. So please tell us that. Text it to us so we've got it. I put my number in there. I think that's the way to go. Sounds great. You should see these people. It's insane. In the very back of the room, and Marianne's not going to be happy.
Are you guys practicing the survey?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a reverse rules. Stick to the survey. No sidebar conversation. Stick to the survey. Practice the survey only. 2 minutes.
All right. You see that table at the very back? That's all the different products of longevity. I mean, you look back there, it's all makeup. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. And you can just see all the verticals we've got back there. It goes from coffee to jewelry to hemp to everything. It's pretty cool. What's that? Oh, it's all right. That's all right. No, it's all right. It's pretty cool stuff. You gotta go on the screen. Have you got somebody to go talk to Stanley about your dreams? Go survey him. Here, what I want to do is make sure James and Mary are as interactive on this thing as everybody in the crowd is, because it is so critical. You learn the people skills because it's easy to get tied with like paperwork skills, all the Facebook likes and all that jazz. That's insane. What I want you to do is interact with human beings. We talk to everybody every day. Right there, interviews with people, surveys with people, whatever. You know, everybody's got an acronym. Everybody's got something. Basically, you're talking to people a day. That's got 60 of them. You get 60 rock solid interviews in your database, and your name touches on those people. There's my contact mapping app right there. You can see I've got 9 follow-ups to do myself today. So that means Eric Roy is one of them. I didn't even realize that. Denise Dunlap over in Grand Jungle. I'm already talking to her. Scotty Hughes was down in Florida. Chris Cherry just enrolled with James Moore. Lee Berry, my buddy down in Arlington, Texas. Brian Doubleday. I mean, that is the kind of things. Oh, 6 follow-ups. I thought that's So I'm caught up right now. I've only got 6 follow-ups I have to really focus on today to be in integrity in my contact mapping app. And all I need to do is touch those 6 people. That doesn't mean close them. Find out what it is in their life that I can do to make them feel better today than they felt before they got my text or my call is my only goal. On that list right there, 2 of those people are phone calls. Very, very important phone calls because they're connected to something other than network marketing that's life and death. The other, what's wrong? What happened? They can't hear me? Sorry. Tell them to go to the bathroom. Can't do anything about it. They want me to get closer. It's kind of creepy. But, you know, whatever I can do to make it better for you. But I think doing this exercise that these people are all doing out here is great for them. It's great for us. And I didn't want you to be bored, but if you want to go to the bathroom, go have that donut. You should see Mary Ann yawning behind me. It is unbelievable because she's up all night worrying about that baby. I mean, first and foremost, you want to get related to Mary Ann right now. She was a hockey player. She's got obviously a great husband. But at the end of the day, what you want to ask Mary Ann about is that damn baby. Because that's all she's thinking about 24/7. If you want to give her her love language right now, it's that baby and her being a new grandmother because that's all she thinks about. James Moore, I don't know what's first. I do not know what's first in James's mind. But what you want to get to in those touches is not what's important to you. You want to get to what's important to them. That's the most important thing. So go to the bathroom. I'm going to tell these people to do it, and we'll keep rolling. All right, 1 minute.
Okay, everybody, we'll pop it up 30 seconds.
Are you guys ready? Here we go. Let me get everybody quieted down.
Here we go. All right. Beautiful job. Beautiful job.
Actually, there's some people that are
All right. Yeah. So.
Turbo chart.
Hey, you know what I got? You know what I got here? This is the Icelandic water. This is the Icelandic water that we now have through Longevity, and they do free shipping on this, so you're not getting gouged for shipping a bunch of water. You know this has a pH of 8.4, right? So did you guys know that the Icelandic water has a pH of 8.4? You know what's great about this this pH stuff? You know what's great about it? No. Okay, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know on a scale with the pH, what do they call that?
pH scale.
The pH scale. The scale of the pH. What do you call that? The pH scale. Yeah. So you know that seven on that scale is neutral, and everything less than 7 is what's called acidic. So what is it called?
Acidic.
Right. So then you have acidity, and that's where a lot of disease and stuff exists. When you start getting into alkaline, then your body likes alkaline, but it's interesting because up to about 10 is that sweet spot for alkalinity inside your body. And when you start getting over 10, you start getting into toxicity.
You want me to come up? I'll call you.
Hold on, everybody. We're just waiting for people to settle down. We got bathroom breaks and drink breaks and all that kind of stuff. All right. Okay, so we've got this water that has about an 8.4 alkaline level on the pH scale. So your body likes that a lot, and it does wonderful things when you have a little alkaline in your body. So what I did was I just put Z radical inside of here, which is great. So this helps your body absorb better the nutrients that you're taking with that alkaline water, which is awesome. So anyhow, somebody asked me, what is so great about that bottle in your hand? And I said, it's our own water, the Icelandic water with Z radical inside of it. So that's what I'm drinking, if you were wondering. All right, so this survey, did you get a good chance to practice that? It feel okay coming out of you? Yeah? Can you see how you can play with that to make it more formal or less formal, depending on who you're talking to? Yeah. And so that'll go a long ways for you. Okay, so who can tell me the 3 components now to building your business? What was component number 1? The survey. What's component number 2?
plan.
The plan. What's number 3? The 72-hour game plan. What comes first in the 72-hour game plan?
No.
Getting good.
Products, right? Enrollment, products, CEO pack, and having a story on products. And how long?
72 hours.
72 hours. What's number 2?
Gift the book.
So you can gift the book in number 1. When they get their CEO pack, you can gift the book. And so step number 2 is to make your list. Okay? And you're teaching people how to do the survey in this piece right here. So you've got the list and you're teaching people how to use the survey to take the list and to schedule appointments. Step number 3 is scheduling the appointments. And you're going to have your new person schedule 4 appointments. In how long?
72
The first 72 hours, they're going to book their first 4 appointments. Is it possible they're going to talk to more than 4 people to schedule 4 appointments? Yes. So they got to get busy, don't they? Yep. Now, let's stop right here for a second. If you had a brand new person go through these things in 72 hours and get to the place to where they had 4 appointments scheduled in the first 72 hours, is your person bored or are they excited out of their mind? They're excited, aren't they? I mean, they're like, holy cow, look at all this stuff that's gone on. And how long? 72 hours. From when? From now. The moment they said, I'm in, the clock is rolling. You've got to give them these things to do, and you're going to have to work with them. Let's face it, this is where the ball gets dropped. Because network marketing is not net lazy marketing. And the work is more on your part than it is on their part. You've got to be the person that's helping and holding them accountable and keeping them engaged and moving them through this funnel. So now they've got 4 appointments scheduled. Where do these appointments occur? Not at your house, you being the upline, not at your house. The appointments do not happen at your house. They happen at their house or a neutral spot. Their house or a neutral spot, but not at your house, okay? So that's where these appointments occur. Now, when they're scheduling these appointments, the appointments don't need to occur inside of 72 hours. They need to be booked inside of 72 hours. So you're booking these appointments, I would say sometime between tomorrow and a week. So if they said yes today, they're booking these appointments sometime in the next 72 hours for 1 week out. But not more than a week. That's too far down the line. If they're beyond a week, they don't count as one of the 4, even if they're booked. They got to be in the next week. Why a week? Because their temperature will stay high if they're having these appointments in a short period of time versus way down the road. They're gonna not be engaged anymore. You need something to do in the short term, not the long term. So if they go, yeah, I got 4 appointments scheduled and 2 of them are in 3 weeks from now, that does not count. 4 appointments booked in the next 72 hours or sometime in the next 7 days. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is your timeline. Now you've got these appointments scheduled. Step number 4, that was step number 3. Step number 4 is you open up their calendar. You open up their calendar and you put into the calendar only the necessary things that they need to be engaged with to maximize their ability to be effective with the 72-hour game plan. So let's think about this for a second. This is interesting. When you open up their calendar, what you're doing is you're keeping them engaged. So the 72-hour game plan starts them with engagement. This step number 4, when you open up your calendar and their calendar, this is going to keep them engaged. This is where you say, let me tell you what you need to put on your calendar. And I need to ask you to be committed to these things. Josh, are you okay with that? Yeah. Great. So what I do is I look at all the Zooms that I do. I don't do Zooms if they're a waste of time. I only do Zoom trainings if they're useful and if they're money-making activities and they're valuable. Then I do a Zoom. So I tell them about the Zooms that I do that are going to impact their world. I tell them about Super Saturday trainings for the whole year. Why? because I don't want them to come up on a really important Super Saturday and go, oh, well, I got this and I've got that going on. If I tell them early enough, then they're going to make concessions to cancel things, to reschedule things, to get things off their calendar, to open up the space so they can plug in to this kind of stuff. Can you see how if you had a brand new person like you guys we just met, see how valuable it is for you to be here right now? If you weren't here right now, how could you possibly, honestly, knowing what you know in just the last hour, how could you possibly be successful building this business if you didn't know what I'm telling you right now? It'd be pretty tough, right? I mean, you could get it through whisper down the lane. Somebody could tell you on a sidebar conversation, but it's not the same as being here. If you had a one-on-one about all this information versus you could come and say, man, look at all these amazing people and there's, I don't know, 30 or 40 people online, it's not the same. And so you need people to get information at the highest level possible with the most energy connected to that high level information, because anything outside of that is information coming down here. Even if the information is the same, the vibration is different here than it is here. Make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Hi, Callie.
I'm so excited I'm here. I'm trying to distract everyone.
It's a phenomenal distraction. And we're talking to Callie Vandertop. She is an extraordinary person and friend to a lot of people here, but she had a baby. And so today is her first Super Saturday back after going and having a baby. And that is really exciting. Great to see you. And so you're passing the baby around. Why don't we show and tell? Can we do that? Okay, because everybody here wants to see the baby. Okay, so Callie, you have to come up and do this.
Oh my God.
This honor. So you have to do the full introduction, like pounds and inches and the whole thing. So you gotta get on camera, right here.
Yeah,
Gotta
there you
get on
go.
camera.
Yeah.
You gotta go close, like they want to see.
Get up there.
Get up close.
See,
Get up
she has
close.
little shoes.
Oh my goodness, yes. Haha.
So this is Cadence, and her name means rhythm or flow. And we picked it because we felt like we had arrived at a season where God had given us a lot of rhythm and a lot of grace. And there is a longer story of me not wanting to be a mom, and so to be in a season of rhythm has been really great. She was born 6 pounds, 11 ounces. She and I worked really hard through the whole pregnancy to learn about natural birth, and we succeeded. Yay! Very exciting. Longevity was a big part of the growth for her. We took a lot of supplements through that, and she's like, why am I up here? There is a big part of my story with some hormonal help from longevity to help with her and with just the baby being born in general. So if you want the longer story, I'd say that. And she is really chill baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, she's easy compared to my 3-year-old. I mean, that's why she came, not the 3-year-old. So thank you for listening.
Okay, so we've got the four steps now to the 72-hour game plan. The last one is opening up their calendar, and here's what you have to do. Remember, your prospect is like a little baby. There's no programming yet, except for the programming that you give your new prospect. So you have to be careful what you say and what you don't say. Because if you accidentally put something in their head that they don't need, you've just created some level of confusion, possibly frustration, or even doubt. Even doubt. So if you say, for example, okay, you're talking out loud and you're going, I want to put these Zooms on here, but I don't want you to get on this Zoom. What are they going to do? They're going to get on that Zoom. So you intended for them to not get on a Zoom or to not hear something, and then all of a sudden they're going, don't do it, so they say, I got to do it, because there must be something there. And I shared this on a conference call the other day, but I'll tell you something. If you didn't think this was a joke, it's a big deal. Be careful what you put in your new person's head, because human nature is to do what you're told not to do. It's to have what you're told you can't have. And if you don't believe me, just go read the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis. They could have had access to billions of possibilities, but God said just one. One. You can do anything you want to. You can think anything, have anything, do anything, be anything, create anything you want to. Just don't touch that tree.
Well, actually, don't eat it. We didn't say don't touch it. We said don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Yeah, don't eat it. Right. Don't eat it. But touching it would be about, you know, yeah, you know, that's where it all began right there, is getting close and up near it. So that's why I say you got to be really careful what you say and don't say to your new person. Does that analogy make good enough sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now you know the 4 components of the 72-hour game plan. Do you like those components? You like the whole system? What's number 1? Component number 1 is survey. Number 2,
The plan.
the plan. Where do you find the plan?
YGY.
YGYleadershipmastery.com. You click on resources, and then you can see the plan, and you can see all 4 videos that explain those 4 steps to the 72-hour game plan. Okay, and we will upload the survey on there as well. So you'll find the survey on there. I'll probably do a little video recording to go through the survey again, which would probably be helpful. So that's where you can find it all in one easy, unique place. Any questions about those 3 components or the breakdown of any of those topics? Smooth? Yep. No confusion at all? Nobody's got questions about it? Everything's okay, good.
Well, I couldn't remember what it was under the 72-hour game plan. Like is there 3 things?
No, 4. So you got the registration and CEO pack, gifting them the book, and sampling some products with them so that they have a story. And how long? 72 hours. Okay, that's all in number 1. All has to do with products and gifting them the book. Thanks for getting your CEO pack, and I want you to read this book in the next 72 hours. And any questions you have from the book, let's come back and talk about them. Okay, so that's a great conversation. Number 2 is what?
Making a list.
Making the list, right? And teaching them the survey so that you know how to invite the people off the list and build that list. And then number 3?
Set 4 appointments.
Set 4 appointments. Now you've got your list. Now you know how to do the survey. You can set those 4 appointments. And what are the appointments for? You're setting 4 appointments to see the plan, right? Okay. And then, so what's number 4?
Open up their calendar.
Open up their calendar and putting just the things in there that they need to have and participate in to propel them as new people moving forward. Because it's all about engagement.
So would you say number 4 is events?
Yeah.
Okay.
Events, meetings, Zooms, socials, fun things, anything that does what with people? Engages them. Because that prevents, starts with F, fantasy. Engagement prevents fantasy. What do you think, Tom?
I think it's phenomenal.
Like it?
I'm taking notes as we're speaking.
Like that whole message? Good. Okay, so let's look at the board together. What on this board, you can read it better than I can, what on this board have we not covered that you're like, let's dive into that next?
Expanding on people you talk to.
Expanding on people you talk to. Define expanding on people.
The cold market.
Cold market? Okay.
You've exhausted all the resources you already have.
Okay, so if you've exhausted your resources, how do you meet more people? Is that what you're saying? Okay. I think this is an interesting topic because it's like maybe you all know ways to meet people that I don't know ways to meet people. So how do you meet people?
Saying hi, Lisa.
Start a conversation?
Compliment.
Being involved in the things you like to do, different communities, new hobbies.
Yep, be more social, right? Connect, find other places to connect with. You can also connect with different groups on social media. That's an easy one. You can
ask them about their shirt logo or their hat logo.
Yeah, ask about something they're wearing. That's actually how magic happened with Cindy Meyer back there that just raised her hand. I made a compliment about something she was wearing around her neck, right? Yep. And that compliment turned into something so ridiculous, it's unbelievable where it went from there. But just because I complimented her statement piece around her neck, that turned into a relationship that opened up doors. I mean, she has one of the largest teams in the entire company in the world right now. That's Cindy Meyer right there. She has a massive team of people in longevity. Yeah. And we met Cindy because of John and Tamara in the back. They introduced us to Cindy. And so it's just amazing where this all goes. So that means that these quiet little unassuming people sitting in the room are some of the biggest kingpins in all of longevity. Yeah, it started with a friendship between our sons, a 13 and a 14-year-old kid. That's where it all began. So when you're going, how do we meet people? It's like, you know what? Just somebody say something, please. Would you? Just say hi. Talk. Somebody's talk. And start a conversation. I don't care what the conversation begins with, but that's how all relationships begin. So you're going, well, how do I meet people? It helps if you say hello. It helps if you smile. It helps if you look like a friendly person. It helps if you're not intimidating. It helps if you look like in a place where people want to be around. It helps if you're presentable. It helps if you're an attractive personality and a nice human being and a kind person. All these things lead to socializing. And it all comes down to socializing. Would you agree with me or disagree?
I agree.
Social skills. Just, you got to have a PhD in social skills.
We have people say some examples of people they've met, how they met them.
Yeah. Does anybody have a story about how they met somebody and it turned into something? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, last night we were at, I had a kid from Date. Let me just start there. And we were at Sunset Lounge, and they came over to ask for drinks, blah, blah, blah. And my friend didn't really want alcoholic drinks, so we went to the bar and just said, hello, do you make like Shirley Temples or something? And she said, well, yes, but I could just pick you up a mocktail. What does your friend want? So then she came over and made this whole personalized mocktail for our friend, and then we were talking, like, oh my gosh, we can never come back here without talking to you. You're amazing. And then, yeah, that's how
That's fantastic. That's great.
Well, the thing is most of us, I mean, we were all strangers to each other at some point. You were a stranger to Juliet, or, you know. So, I mean, it's like you said, it's just opening up and just saying one thing, one compliment, and which, you know, can create a wave. Oh, just people are just saying the same thing. A compliment, a smile. I mean, sometimes just smiling at somebody can open something up.
We're reading your comments online, by the way,
Yeah.
to everybody here. So if you have comments or stuff, we want to tell them what you're thinking too. So don't be strangers just because you're on the other side of a screen someplace else. Yep.
So we went to that lunch yesterday, and I was standing in line with a lady, and I said, oh my gosh, I said, this place is gorgeous. Have you ever been here before? And she's like, yeah, like 7 years ago, I came here to a wedding. And then we just started talking. And so I think the social skills are important. It's
Mm-hmm.
The other day, someone said, I like your eye makeup. It's so, I like how you did it. And normally, you know, in the past, I would just say, oh, thanks, and move on. Well, this time I said, thanks. Actually, this is all natural mineral makeup, and I sell it on my own business. And she goes, no way, I really like it. She gave me your number, so who knows where that'll go.
right.
So
That's fantastic.
Karen Hammond online said she made a friend buying a chair from somebody.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
love it.
Nice
I
job, Karen.
interviewed the person that sold us our sleep number bed. And so, yeah, we've just been building this relationship. She's all into holistic and essential oils, and she even knew of Dr. Watts.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I commented on a sticker on somebody's water bottles at the gym. It was just a cool logo, like you said, with the hats and stuff.
They joined our team.
They joined our team.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you know Joel and Nikki probably. They're sitting here in the crowd today, and they said that they were at the gym that they would work out at, and Joel complimented somebody for their water bottle having a sticker on it. He said, "Hey, that's a really cool logo. That's a cool sticker." And then they're saying now they're part of their team. So you never know where conversations and just starting something. If you're a nice person, then isn't that the most attractive thing? Because the reality is nobody's buying this stuff. They're buying you. You know that, right? This is the conversation starter, but they're not buying your stuff. They're buying you. So if you react well as a person, not as a product salesman, then you can throw that stuff on the side. They're not looking at that anymore. It was the logo that started the conversation, but it finished with, "You're a great guy, you're a great gal, I want to hang out with you." Sorry for the exploded Z-radical all over the floor. But thank you. So do you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. That's your magic sauce right there. Yes.
Right? One lady said she called the consignment lady for all these clothes. She lost so much weight, so she called her heavy clothes to this consignment lady. With a friend there.
Wow, that's cool. I'm hearing about your consignment story that you just said. Yes, Mariko.
I think one key component to socializing well, we had a pretty busy week last night, and we were doing our date night at our favorite place, Oscar Blues.
Yep.
And we got there and it was a little busy.
Yep.
And so we're totally like, oh man, we're exhausted. Are we going to talk to anybody? We can't even find a seat. And there was a couple on the corner there that we had socialized with the Friday before. And I'm looking at them and I'm kind of noticing them. And I'm like, there's something about them, and I'm really focused on sitting down. And then the seat opens up. And as we're going to sit down, I'm like, man, how much energy do I have to socialize? Do I really want to engage? Now, what's the key there? I'm somewhere else in my head. I'm not there. So and then I'm like, there was a couple kind of sitting to our right, and we're gonna go over here, and I go, oh, are these seats open? And they're like, yeah, they are, because like a table, we were waiting for a table or whatever, and it's kind of opening up, and we're sitting here now. And so now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, we got our seat, I can get out of my head, I'm gonna engage with you. And all I said was, you know what? These seats are better, because there was a band playing right to our left. These seats are better here than at the table because we get to see the band. Bam! Next thing you know, we're talking to this couple, we've engaged with this couple, but the key thing is we were there. We were just talking about what's happening right in front of our noses. Instead of being somewhere else, instead of thinking, what's the perfect thing to say? How do I start this? What's my key? What's my hooks? No, man, just talk to the people that are there, be engaged. Next thing you know, that couple that was at the corner comes and says, hey, we had a great time last Friday, blah, blah, blah. And the cool thing about the new couple that we talked to, she works at the sushi place. And she's like, I'm working tomorrow, come check me out. It's so easy to get the follow-up once you're just talking and interested with your around. But man, the key thing is be there. Don't be somewhere else. Don't be looking at your notes for what the next thing to say is. Just talk to the person that's
that's good.
with whatever's going on.
That's good, Marinko. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
So I had a question. So how do you transition from question 4, right? Inviting them to see the plan.
Yep. So the next piece that we're going to now is on this question here, which is what happens when you're done with question 4 and they go, yeah, I'd have a conversation. You talking about the survey? How do you transition from this?
Kathy, are you talking about the survey here?
Is the question about transitioning to showing them the plan from question number 4 on the survey? Like, would you have a conversation about network marketing? Yes. Okay. So now somebody says, yeah, I'd be open to a conversation about network marketing. So if that's a yes, then you have several options. But here's what you really want to get to. You want to say, great. So how's your schedule tomorrow? What's your schedule like tomorrow? And so you're moving immediately into booking that appointment. So let them know in that conversation that you'd like to get about an hour of their time. Yes.
So going back a little bit to, are you familiar with network marketing?
Yep.
Josh said no. So the other ones kind of follow along
Yeah.
with that. So if somebody says, I'm not at all familiar, but you kind of walk through how you
Yep.
go through the
So the
next
question coming from the audience is what happens if on that first question, if I were to say, hey, Cindy, you're familiar with network marketing, right? So, and I always assume it because that's a positive thing to do. So I don't go, have you ever heard of network marketing? You know, I don't make it a negative. I assume they have, like, what person's hiding under a bush in today's day and world if they haven't heard of network marketing? So I'm kind of more shocked if they haven't. So that's why I word it like that. So I'm like, Cindy, you've heard of network marketing, right? Now, go ahead. No, she says, no, I actually haven't. What's that? And here's what I like to do. I like to take that as an opportunity to turn this around right on the spot. I do it very quickly, and I'll just say, hey, Cindy, what's something that's that you wish you had more of in your life?
time, money.
Time and money? Okay. And I go, network marketing is the thing that will help you be able to do that. Do you hear how I did that? Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So if somebody goes, no, I'm not really familiar with network marketing. What's network marketing? Ask them a question. What do you wish you had more of in your life? And it gives them a chance to kind of sit there and think for a second, like, oh, that's an interest. Who's ever asked that question for starters? Nobody. And because it goes to dreaming. And they haven't dreamt in a while. So what's missing in your life? What do you wish you had more of? And they go, this and this. And I go, great. Network marketing is what will help you be able to have that. So Cindy, if that really did happen to you, do you see how that would be a positive response to that question? Okay, great. Now you will probably react and say, like, oh wow, okay, that's good. Even if you don't really fully understand it, it doesn't really matter. If they get that it's a vehicle to help them fulfill or accomplish or gain something in their life, now I could say, you know, if I wanted to, if it was necessary, I could say, but Cindy, you probably have heard of people that work from home that have side gigs or side hustles or businesses from home that oftentimes deal with things that are very popular in the world today that people need that are offered through home-based businesses. Maybe I'm not using the right term. Have you heard of the home-based business industry? Have you heard of multi-level marketing? Network marketing wasn't a familiar term to you. Maybe another term is, but I'm not interested in the term. I'm interested that they get that the solution is what you're after to a problem that you have. Mm-hmm. Can you all do that? Mm-hmm. Okay, yes.
Your wife has to speak, and it's almost 12.
No way.
So
It's 11:36.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you for the time monitoring. All right, so I'm going to transition here. We've covered a lot of things on this list, not quite all of them, but I would really like for you to be able to hear from Juliet. So she is an amazing network marketer. Our personalities are different, and oftentimes spouses are different personalities in a relationship. Our personalities are very different. And we will have been married for 25 years this coming June. So it's kind of funny because, yeah. Tom might have just saved my marriage because he told me to look at my watch. Yeah. And what's great about that is that we just went back to Southern California, which is where she's from. We were there last week, and we went to Los Angeles to do an event. We spoke there for 7 hours straight between the two of us, and we did a teaching like this for a whole bunch of people in Los Angeles. And then we went over and had kind of a reunion with a bunch of high school friends of hers. And it was so awesome because I went to college with a lot of these people, and that's where we met. But she knew them back when she was a little girl into high school and middle school and the whole 9 yards. So she has this history. And when we showed up to meet up with all of our old friends, that she has an extra 10 years on me with these friendships. So she's got 40 years of friendship, and I might have 30 years of friendship with these same people. And so we hadn't seen each other in a long time. We get there, and our friends are so brutally honest. They're like, wow, Juliet, you look like the same as when we were friends back in high school. You haven't changed a bit. And then they're looking at me and they're like, Fardulis, there's like a bunch of stuff changing with you. I mean, the hair thing. And so, yeah, I had to take a little assault there. But it was great. And one person even reminded me, yeah, you know, I dated Juliet back in high school. And I'm like, that's okay. I married her. So we had some really good times, but Juliet's got such an amazing perspective on this business. I know she wants to share a few things with you, and she's going to introduce you to a really great friend of ours who this last month became a 1-star in longevity, and she did it about like that. She's an amazing student, and we're going to have Juliet introduce you to her as well, and then we got to jet out of here. So help me welcome up Juliet.